Welcome to Tech Talk, y'all.
Hi, and welcome to Tech Talk, y'all, episode 361. I'm Adam Walker.
And I'm Sanjay Parekh.
And man, we have a good show for you today. A little bit of drama in our last main article that we're going to be talking about. But drama, we got some good. I'm really kind of excited about your tech rec. Not going to lie about that. And mine is going to entertain you. So stay tuned to the end to be entertained and recommended. All right, you ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it. First up, are you going to go?
Yeah, Amazon's online car, quote, dealership with, is it Hyundai? I always call it Hyundai. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Hyundai? It's Hyundai. How do you not know how to say this?
Some people say it weird. I don't know. All right, so
it's not Hyundai.
Hyundai. So Amazon's online car dealership with Hyundai is now live. You can go on an Amazon-like interface and choose your car and choose your features and choose your model and get your funding and buy that bad boy. And I mean, it's like Carvana basically, just on Amazon, but with new cars.
But is it like free returns? Like 30 days free returns? Can you do the same thing? Like if it's that, then that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
right?
I didn't actually consider that part of it. Like, I mean, that's the dream, right? Like you get a car delivered, you drive it for 25 days, you return it, you get another one delivered, you drive it for 25 days, you just do a little bit of Ubering in between. Like you could really, you could go a lot of miles that way. So.
This is what the service clutch used to be here in Atlanta, as well as a couple of other cities where you actually paid a monthly fee for this service, and you could change the cars out as often as you want. Every day,
you had one
if you wanted
briefly for a little while, like
I did in between cars
or something.
Yeah. Right. Well, once my car got crashed into,
that's right,
by that drunk driver, I had been driving the same car for 19 years, and I was like, well, I don't know what good cars are now.
So just go drive a bunch of them. Yeah,
and that's exactly what I did. I was like, well, let me do this and figure out what I like. And so it was nice. I drove a bunch of different brands and models, and I like some things on some things on others.
So when you were doing that, what is the most like extravagant, audacious car that you drove during that time? Because like you could just pick whatever cars you want. Like, did you get like a Porsche or like
I wasn't on that level. There was a different level to get to those cars. But I think probably the nicest car was this like really big, like Jeep truck, looking thing. It was like this black truck. I don't even know which one it was, but it was fancy looking.
I would love to see you in that. It feels like a very non-Sanjay thing.
I got comments about the car. Oh, a nice car. I was like, yeah, it's not actually mine.
Like,
clutch. It's
what's up?
Totally. But it was great because, it could pick up like a minivan if you had a run to the airport for picking up people, and then you could switch back out into a normal car. So
that's cool.
It was quite nice.
All right.
Something else that is apparently not that nice. Judge rejects sale of Alex Jones's InfoWars to The Onion. So we talked about this, I think, last week or the week before.
Yeah, and actually one of our YouTube videos went out about this, and we got a comment like them letting us know that we were wrong. And I was like, oh, well, thank you for. I mean, I actually appreciated being informed. So it was so
we were right when we made it, but wrong afterwards, I guess.
I think within a day we were wrong. Yeah,
I thought you were about to say like our video got involved in the lawsuit. Like
no, that would be great though. That'd be great. No. I mean, apparently there was another offer on the table that was for more money. And the judge basically was like, look, you can't take a lesser offer just because you don't want them to have it. Like, that's not fair to the.
But the administrator said there was a lot of reasons why this offer made more sense. And part of it was what we talked about was a lot of the families agreed to forego some of their, the money out of the lawsuit, which means the other creditors would make more money.
Right.
And so I think for that reason is why they went with it. It wasn't for any. I mean, I think they actually had a sound financial reason as to choose this deal instead of the other.
Well, I mean, the other part of it is that the other bidder was from a supplements company that's basically owned by Alex Jones. So like, that's the other part of it is like they did kind of keep it in his hands. So I would imagine that factored into it to some degree as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, exactly.
Next in the court section of Tech Talk Y'all today, appeals court upholds law ordering China-based ByteDance to sell TikTok or face U.S. ban. I tagged this because for a couple of reasons. Number one is obviously like they're still on track to have to shut down in the U.S. But, Trump comes in, I think, into office like 2 days after the ordered shutdown. One day after.
So it's January 19th they have to shut down by. He takes office on January 20th.
Yeah, and he's pretty much indicated, like he's going to vacate this whole thing and make it. So my guess is that TikTok goes down for a day. Like I'm going to forecast that. He seems to like TikTok all of a sudden. I think probably because he's got some popularity on there and that's kind of how he operates, whatever. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. Like it's interesting to me that one person can get voted into office and can negate all of the other stuff that's happened up to this point. But I think it's probably good news for TikTok. And frankly, I like it's my favorite social media platform. Like if I'm being real, so like I'm
going to forecast that actually it doesn't even go down for a day. I think
you think it'll just kind of keep on burning.
I think they might just and keep going if they know that it's going to get removed the next day.
What you're saying, yeah, because there's no legal, there won't be any legal recourse from the Trump administration. Yeah,
right. Well, in that day, even if something gets filed,
it won't matter
to like fine them. It's not going to get prosecuted.
Yeah.
And so it'll just it'll all get vacated, like you said. So
okay.
We'll see what happens. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
It's going to be a interesting 2025, January 2025. So
many ways.
Something else that's I find not interesting because we just talked about this and why does it matter? Elon Musk becomes the first person to surpass $400 billion of net worth, according to Bloomberg. Doesn't matter. Why does it matter?
Honestly, just keep moving. I'm fine.
I think we should not write stories about things like that, right?
Well, we're talking about it, so let's ignore it. Let's just keep going. Like that's fine.
It doesn't matter. What is it? You can't do anything with it. So,
something that might matter. LA Times owner plans to add AI-powered, quote, bias meter on news stories, sparking newsroom backlash. So this is interesting. So, and I want to frame this up in this way, right? So I've got a friend that leans conservative. I lean liberal. And we talk a lot about news. And there is bias in the news, right? And I think we all agree there's bias in the news, but we don't really agree on the degree of bias in the news, right? For example, so for example, a conservative person would be like, oh, well, Fox is biased, but they're not that biased. And then, a liberal person would be like, well, CNN is probably biased, liberal, but not that biased. But like from the other perspective, it's very significant. And so I think this idea of like a third party sort of AI overwatch for the news to sort of give you an indication of, is this author, not even the news organization, just the author of the story, is this author biased, could be really helpful for readers. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I would push back on that because I think we've already seen that AIs themselves can be biased.
That's true, yeah.
It's based on the training data.
Yeah, that's right.
And this actually kind of goes to, there's a little bit of backstory here too, right? The LA Times has always kind of published like who they recommend in terms of endorsement for president. This is the first time they didn't happen. It was squashed by this owner. The recommendation would have been for Kamala Harris. And so there's like, is this really like a legitimate thing? And so then the other side of it is that journalists as a profession, as a trade, they are trained about their own biases and how to make sure that they are writing in a way that is fair and balanced and neutral. At least people that are actually trained as journalists, not people that just show up on TV, which there's a lot of them on all the channels that, say things that it's like, no, you're not really fair and balanced at all. And so, I think this goes to the heart of that. And that's probably why there is so much backlash in the newsroom, because it's like, look, you're saying we don't know how to do our job. Yeah, but the flip side of that is like, right. So if you rewind to like, Dan Rather of the 80s, right? Like I would say, Dan Rather was probably that like, yes, like neutral party reporting the news. Gold standard. Yeah. But I think, and let's assume in the 80s, 95% of journalists were neutral. I think that percentage has consecutively ticked down in a very concerning way, where probably maybe 85% are neutral. It's still a majority, but there's still a huge proponent of people, or subsection of journalists, I should say, that are not unbiased. I mean, I'll say I know journalists that U.S. American journalists that don't vote in elections because they don't want to be bias.
No, and that's great. And that's I mean, I know some good journalists as well.
Yeah.
Like that.
But honestly, I find that like next level. Like,
yeah,
I'm like,
that's pretty great.
You should vote, but I kind of understand like how this conflicts with your job.
Yeah, for sure.
In a way. So
for sure.
Anyways, something else that's apparently not going to conflict anymore. iOS 18.2 is rolling out now, adding ChatGPT integration and more Apple intelligence tools. You know, I still am like, I give the chef's kiss for the insight of calling it Apple Intelligence for AI. Like, I see it on billboards and stuff. I'm like,
it's so well done. Their marketing is so good.
I mean, I'm not an Apple fanboy. We don't have any Apple products, but I do appreciate their marketing. I'm like, that's really well done.
But what's so crazy to me, and it's the YouTube guy, is it MKBHD? That's who it is, right?
Yeah.
So MKBHD talked about this quite a bit. What's crazy to me is that the new iPhone came out, and it's like the new iPhone with Apple Intelligence, the new iPhone with that. It's been out for a while now. Like my kids has one,
right?
And Apple Intelligence is really just now rolling out legitimately, like this week, which is crazy that they're like marketing that they're selling the phone based on this, and it didn't even work for months later, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is great. Like I'll eventually upgrade and get access to it and all that. So it'll be great, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, deep integration. I'd use ChatGPT a ton. So, yeah, it's kind of fun. It'll be neat. The next article is sort of related to this same update.
Right.
Apple's surprising phone update. Green bubbles in this week. I don't know. I feel like the title's misleading. I read the article. I'm like, I don't know that green bubbles end. I think basically all the article said is starting with this new update, you'll be able to choose your default texting app or your default dialer app.
Right.
So you can switch from the Apple app that's the green and blue bubbles to Signal or to WhatsApp or whatever else. But like, that doesn't mean the bubbles end for the majority of people that probably aren't going to switch. So, okay.
Yeah. I when I saw the headline, I thought, oh, are they finally supporting RCS so that things will actually work between iPhones and everybody else in the world?
Yeah.
And no, they're not. They're still not supporting RCS. I gotta believe it's only a matter of time.
Oh, for sure.
Because at some point, some of the carriers are going to be like, okay, we're ending support for SMS now.
Yeah.
And it's only going to be RCS.
Right. Right.
I don't know when that happens, but it's got to happen at some point.
And then soon. Yeah.
Then hopefully we will have true end-to-end encryption. And this is important, by the way. We did not tag a story for this, but there has been this ongoing thread of stories about Salt Typhoon, which is a Chinese hacking group.
Dude, that's such a great name for a hacking group. What?
Salt Typhoon?
Salt Typhoon? Oh my gosh.
So they are not a part of the Chinese government, but they are definitely part of the Chinese government. They're an arm's length organization.
Right.
They have infiltrated the U.S. telecommunication systems, and they have gotten access to certain political people's phones and text messages and things like that. And so that's why if you've seen some of these articles about the FBI recommending you not use unencrypted text messages.
This is why.
The
other side, the other thing is just don't send crazy crap in your text messages. Like that's another option. Like I'm just saying, like if somebody hacks my text message and be like, they'll know what time dinner is. They'll know what time my kid's got to be at ballet. They'll know what time my kid has to be picked up from ballet. So, you know, the important stuff.
It's funny because we actually send real things within our family. Like we'll send passwords and things like that, but we send them over Signal, which is encrypted.
Of course,
but we also send it over a group that has a timer that's set to automatically delete the messages after like a week or two.
I love that.
So like,
dude, we actually your level of security is so epic. I love it.
We actually have two separate groups for our family. We have one of just the regular stuff.
Secure communication. Is it called
the other one?
The Park Secure Comms channel? Please tell me it's called the Park Secure Comms. Please tell me that's what it's called.
It's not. It's called disappearing something. It's the internal name of what that is. So
I'm gonna file a complaint with your head of HR for your family. I know it's not you, so I'm gonna file a complaint. Yeah,
definitely not me. HR has been working in some other organizations. Read the memo of Calendly's CEO sent to employees announcing 70 job cuts.
Yeah.
I didn't actually read this memo. Did you?
I didn't read the memo. They basically just said, hey, we're restructuring. We got to let go of 70 positions. And then they downsized additionally in 2023 as well. So they've been reducing workforce. I mean, and this is happening Google basically just released a competitor inside of Google Calendar, about a year ago, I guess?
Yeah.
And I haven't really messed with it or used it. I mean, I've kind of used Calendly for so many years now that I don't know why I would go somewhere else. But, there have been competitors popping up for years and years and years. I mean, they were kind of first to market, but there have been competitors sort of slowly popping up. But when Google starts to release it natively inside of its own product that's already free, that's tough to compete with. So
yeah, it's tough news, I think, even for us, because it's an Atlanta-based startup as well.
Yep.
So
they were valuated. They had a valuation of $3 billion at one point, and I'm assuming it's much lower now. That was their
first funding round out of the gate after their first initial seed round. Which Atlanta Tech Ventures, David Cummings invested into, and all that. Right. And I think that round was only like $250,000 or $500,000. It was a small seed round.
Wow.
They didn't go they basically became profitable, and then they just kept growing until they raised this, $500 million or whatever dollars. And a bunch of people, took money off the table, and sold their shares and things like that. So, it's an incredible story for Atlanta. It's an incredible startup story as well. If you're interested in the story too, I know Tope was on How I Built This. And he talked about the whole kind of process as well. So check that out if you're interested.
All right, next up, YouTube raises price on TV streaming service to $82.99. Basically, I mean, listen, we
this
went
is like
from
cable again, right?
Yeah,
this is cable.
I read an article about this, or somebody was talking about this. They're like, we went from, antenna TV, we went to cable TV. That was amazing. Cable TV went to what I would call TiVo TV, where you're just recording everything and skipping commercials. That was the best moment in television right then, because you had access to every channel and you could skip in every show, because it's all on cable TV, and you could skip every commercial instantly. Then we go into streaming and we're like, oh, streaming's going to be great. We don't have to deal with commercials anymore. We can just pay for this service. We can see. But no, that's not how it is. You got to pay for all the streaming services to get all the shows that are interesting. And in addition to that, if you want any kind of live sports at all, which I want to watch some college football, I'm going to watch some bowl games later this month, you got to have live TV. So that I've got YouTube TV. I'm paying more money now, and it's more fragmented than it's ever been, ever. It's the worst.
Yeah. And I'll one up your kind of timeline there too. In the TiVo era, I actually didn't have a TiVo. I had a Replay TV, which was the competitor to TiVo.
Yeah, okay.
That had automatic commercial skip built in. So in TiVo, you had to actually pick up the remote and do the thing.
That's right. Yep.
Replay would automatically try to figure out where the commercials were and would just
it's the dream right there. That's the dream. It was
amazing.
Yeah.
Little tech rec to our listeners here too. We have talked in the past about Plex TV. There are actually add-ons into Plex that will try to figure out where the commercials are and will skip over them. So if you actually have live TV through something that you can actually feed into Plex, like an antenna, like I've got with Tableau TV. I don't know that Tableau actually works with this, but other devices do work with Plex. You can actually do it that way. So if you're interested in that, if you're trying to spend less, take a look at some of the digital antenna services like Tableau.
I'll tell you, I'm not even that concerned about spending less. What I really would like is just one place to show me every single show that I'm interested in and remind me when a new one comes out, so I don't have to go hunt in. It's the worst. It's the worst experience.
Yeah, so. Plex will do some of that. I think you can. You can integrate some of your services in there so that you can have one view, but then it'll launch the things from there.
Yeah. I mean, Apple TV, I will say Apple TV does it a little bit, where it pulls in, it knows you were watching this on whatever.
Yeah.
And shows you, which is cool. But
Roku does that too.
Yeah.
It'll search across your things and stuff. But, it's kind of annoying. Yeah. It's going to swing back the other way at some point and get a little bit better. But
something's got to happen.
Something that's not swinging back the other way. GM is pulling the plug on its robotaxi efforts.
Yeah.
Because,
I mean,
They bought Cruise, and then that was going to be that, and then now they're saying it's not going to be that. So
yeah, I don't. Okay,
you spent a lot of money for not really much action.
All right, yeah, we're gonna let that one be. This next one, we're gonna have to provide some backstory here, and we're gonna muddle through this next article, and then our friends that know more about it can inform us better. So WordPress CEO rage quits community Slack after court injunction. So let me see if I can catch all of you up that don't care anything about WordPress
over the last like 2 months or something.
Yeah. So this has been going on for a while. So just to give you a little bit of background. So WordPress was WordPress.com is owned and run by Automatic, which is a company owned and run by Matt Mullenweg. And Matt Mullenweg sort of started WordPress originally. There's a whole backstory there. And he sort of manages the open source. So there's a national WordPress conference every year. And at this last year's WordPress conference, there's a keynote by Matt because, he's the guy, he's the WordPress guy. And he gives the keynote, and most of the keynote is basically him trash talking WP Engine, which is a WordPress hosting company that is owned by private equity. And basically
one of a very large,
a huge private equity firm. Yeah. And he's
WP Engine is a huge.
They're huge. They've been around forever. People love them. I've used them. So he's basically just trashing them for the thing. It escalated from there, and I don't know all the details, and I'm going to mess up some of these details. They'll be fuzzy, so just bear with me. But he escalated from there to where he disabled WP Engine's access to the WordPress plugin repository, meaning that if you had a site hosted on WP Engine, you couldn't auto-update your plugins, which is a really big pain in the butt, a really big problem, and a kind of crappy thing to do all willy-nilly. Yeah, I use the word willy-nilly. The other thing he did is WP Engine also managed one of the largest plugins for WordPress that exists, that a ton of sites are built on. And Matt Mullenweg more or less just took it away from them.
So let me add a little bit of color. Yeah. So before he went out to do that keynote, he was texting back and forth with the folks at WP Engine, basically saying like, look, you need to pay WordPress like millions of dollars a year.
Right.
Because by his estimation, they were freeloading on WordPress,
which is open source software and free. So sure.
Which is anybody is allowed to take that and use it. Yeah. Because that's what
open source it is. Yes.
Is. But he said, if you don't, I'm going to go and talk about you in just a moment. This is your last chance. So there's all these text messages, basically him blackmailing them about this. So that's kind of where a lot of this stuff comes.
Oh my gosh.
And him basically saying over and over again that they're freeloading.
Yeah.
They're taking, they're not giving. Everybody's supposed to give this much and whatever of their revenues or their time, and they're not doing it and whatever. Right. And note, you're not required to do any of this stuff.
No.
Open source does not have a rule in there that says you can only use this as open source if you do this.
Yeah.
That's not the way it works.
Right. It's an open community. Yeah. So anyway, so then get to the rage quit part. So
WP Engine basically took all of this and has sued already, but has filed for an injunction to prevent WordPress and Automatic, and which, by the way, Automatic, the open source stuff is owned by WordPress Foundation, which is a separate organization from Automatic, the company that makes money on WordPress. But WordPress Foundation is run by Matt Mullenweg and like 2 or 3 of his friends.
Yes.
That's the entire board. And so it's not really an arm's length organization. It's him controlling
it. Yes.
So basically they asked for an injunction from the judge, and the judge granted basically everything. So WordPress has to remove a checkbox when you're logging into WordPress that says you're not related to WP Engine.
Right.
They have to re-enable all the updates. They have to give back the plugin. They have to remove all of their clients that have moved away from WP Engine during this from a repository that they had on GitHub showcasing all the clients that had and had not moved away from WP Engine. I mean, it is straight up like gangster blackmail stuff. It is not
crazy
to act like this.
No.
And
listen, I mean, I do wonder too. I mean, WordPress has been the dominant, content management system on the web forever. I do wonder if this starts a decline. Like I've talked to agency owners that have been diehard WordPress people forever. And they're like, yeah, we're pulling away from WordPress. Like, this is too much. We're gonna start looking at some other CMSs. We're gonna move in some other direction. We're gonna take the name WordPress off our websites. Like, I mean, really taking it to the next, like really expecting WordPress to decline dramatically.
I mean, and even beyond that, as a business owner of a company that's related to doing work around this, you've got to be worried. Like, when are the crosshairs going to be on you?
That's right. If you get big enough, what happens? Yeah,
right. Mm-hmm. Are you then going to be blackmailed into having to pay a percentage of your revenues to this? Like, that's not what you expected going into this. So, like everything, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify the things that you work on. Yeah. And you should always, listeners, like, you should think about this regardless of what you do. Even if you're not in content management systems, if you're working on something else, think critically about the tools and ways that you're doing your work, and figure out ways, if you can, to diversify that, because sometimes things happen and you can get stuck.
And back to the title. So he rage quit a Slack. I don't think you said that part. Yeah. I mean, I can read that part of the article. So what happened now?
Yeah. So basically there's a community Slack, and I think he said something about this, and then he quit the Slack completely, so that he's not on there. And this is like, I don't know, this seems like a childish move in a lot of things. Like, but he's got his feelings hurt, so he's going to take his toys and go home.
So many moves that so far have been very odd. I'm just going to go with odd. So this is he really needs
like a PR firm in crisis communications, like, to help manage this, because this has not been well for him.
Time for the Weird and Wacky segment.
Abominable snowman.
He's not an axe murderer.
One of the TAs turned out to be a bot.
First up in Weird and Wacky, mysterious drone sightings in New Jersey prompt security concerns. Here's what we know. I actually haven't read this article, but I've seen a lot of news about this. This is on the nightly news at night, every night.
I saw it this morning on the Today Show, because my wife was watching the Today Show this morning. Yeah. Saw it on there too. I was like, what's happening here?
So, the FBI has been called in, and there are people freaking out, but these drones are not actually doing anything.
No, it's just like drones with some lights on them for some reason, and they're just flying around. There was some speculation that some of them might actually be manned drones as well, like be manned aircraft. At least that was on the article, or the news article I saw today.
That's just an aircraft then, right?
Right. I think so. Yeah. The article said, here's what we know. And what we know is basically nothing. That's what we know. And, but we do know that the FBI has said, like, don't be afraid, it's not going to hurt you, which I feel like when you're a government agency and that's your first response, that says to me, like, you should be scared. Like, that's
right, exactly.
Yeah, it almost
Which
reads the
one of these have explosives on them that are going to blow up on me? Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. And
So
you don't, when you have a 3-letter agency saying
it's okay,
it's fine,
it's going to be fine.
Yeah, it doesn't actually calm you at all.
That's not helpful. Yeah. No. Next up and last in Weird and Wacky, before we get to the really entertaining tech wrecks that are coming, Krispy Kreme orders across the U.S. disrupted after cyber attack. No.
Okay, listen here, hackers.
Yeah.
Fine that you go after our water treatment plants and our hospitals and all this stuff, but you're going to come after Krispy Kreme?
Yeah, come on, man.
That is not okay.
You can steal our credit cards and our identities and our hats, but not Krispy Kreme, okay?
You can steal our hats, but you can't have my donuts. I feel like Braveheart now.
They can take our our credit card numbers, but they can never take our donuts. Is that the new line?
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Tech wreck. Time to get your tech wreck.
Tech wreck. Chicky.
Tech wreck. Time to get your tech wreck.
Okay, first up in Tech Wreck, you've been snickering about this the entire show.
All right.
So what do you have for us, Adam?
So I'm going to tentatively, and don't click that link yet. I'm going to tentatively recommend Sora, which is OpenAI's generative AI video. So I've created 2 videos on this. Now let me describe the first one. The first video, I said, I want a video of a larger dog chasing a small dog in a living room around near a Christmas tree. And then the large dog hits the Christmas tree. It falls over, and in a flash of light, the Christmas tree turns into a pile of presents. Pretty clear description.
Okay.
What it created was not even close to that. It created two dogs playing, but it'll create multiple videos at a time for you, which is kind of cool. But in one of the videos, the two dogs were playing, and then there's like 2 or 3 frames where one of the dogs, the head of the dog disappears, and suddenly it's the dog has 2 butts, a butt on each end and a tail on each end coming out as it's jumping through the air. So you see like a double butted dog with no head and 2 tails. So, and then like in the other one, the flash of light, no, the Christmas tree never falls over in either of the videos. Like, so totally missed that direction.
But the surprise present is the double butted dog. And then it has a flash of light. But the flash of, it's just a flash of light. The presents are already there. There's no transformation. There's nothing. It's just this random flash of light. So it's like, I feel like I just described like to a 5-year-old, here's what I want. And then they drew the stick figures, and it's like one of those drawings where like I'm tiny and like my wife is like 7 feet tall, you know, like it's that, like that. It feels like that. So I did, but then, I did another prompt in preparation for this moment. And I said, give me a video of 2 guys doing a technology news podcast. I described you. I described myself. Don't tell me I got 2 butts.
Click the link. And so this is what Sora thinks that we look like.
Yeah.
Dude, your hair in that video is fire. Let me just tell you, like, you have so much hair. You have facial hair in that video, which I didn't even say it. You had facial hair. And the earring too is like, oh, I didn't even see. Oh yeah, earring. But it did. I did do a plaid button-up shirt. And look, you're wearing a plaid button-up shirt right now. It's the same. And it thinks that I have red hair and a lot of hair coming out from under my hat, and apparently tattoos on my arms in one of the versions. Which I thought, see that. No, I mean it's a different version that I sent you, but still, like that's it. So I'll splice that video in. I'm loving your red hair kind of wafting out of the bottom of the hat. I need that. And that hat too. Fire. That's a fire hat. Yeah, for sure. Because you with a black and white polka dotted hat, that is, you need to get yourself one of those. Did you notice in the video, I did not specify any computer equipment. I just said microphones, but it immediately put 2 Apple laptops there, right? Which is Macs. Like, that's kind of funny, right? But then like the phone on the guy's phone that doesn't look like an Apple phone though. It looks like a Samsung TV. And now that I'm looking at the background too, like the foam is weird, like behind me, the version of me, it's like diagonal. Yeah. Whereas all the others are horizontal or vertical. And do you notice? Like, I've never seen diagonal. I think your coffee cup is floating in space. I can't. It might be. I'm not exactly sure. I think it might be floating in space. Let me watch it again. Yeah. Hard to say, but no, I think it looks like it might be the desk is a different color wood over there for some reason. Well, I mean, at least we're laughing and smiling. So that's something. Yeah. All right. Anyway, I thought you'd find that entertaining. So I wanted to share that with you. I look good. I mean, you look great. I look great. We look great. Your beard is on fire. Like, all right, like I said, if you're listening to this will be in the YouTube video on the Tech Talk Y'all YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to the Tech Talk Y'all YouTube channel, please do. We would really appreciate it. All right, Sanjay, what do you have for us for a tech wrap? So I've got an update. I recommended this previously, but now I actually have it in my hands. Okay. And I'm going to show it here. Terminal, TRMNL. This is a product by a Atlanta founder. It was on Kickstarter. I've actually finally got it in my hands. And this thing is fantastic. So it's an e-ink display. You can see it like it's super thin. Right. It's got a little stand on here. Yep. It's got a battery inside of it. And if you set it up right, this thing can go on a full charge almost up to a year. Dang. Without having to be recharged. And so you can set up different pages on this thing. And so if you're looking at it right now on the video, you can see I've got on half of it, I've got number of days left in the year. And on the right side, I've got the weather right now here in Duluth. Yep. But you can change it. So you can use the whole display for one plugin. You can use halves like this. You can use quarters. You could put 4 plugins there. You can actually, there's a upgrade for $10 lifetime for the developer version. And then you can build your own plugins for this thing. Okay. But they've got a bunch of plugins. Now, I'll tell you,
I think this is a fantastic device. I would not get this for anybody that is not at least a little bit technical.
Right.
Yet, I think it's going to get there. There's some quirks to it. The site that you have to go to set things up, things don't work perfectly. Like I've had some problems with the Google Analytics on here. I discovered some problems and they're like, yeah, you're right. It's busted. And so they're working on it. So everything isn't 100% clean just yet, but I think this has a lot of great promise. And I was talking to the founder, who I've known for a long time. It was funny when I stumbled onto this, that this device would be perfect for a lot of companies that want to have this in front of conference rooms for conference room booking. So, who's got the room next.
Yep. That's right.
Because you could just charge these up and then you don't have to probably deal with them for a couple of months. And they're connected via Wi-Fi. You can push information to them. It's really, really well done. And these are a lot less expensive than a lot of the other solutions out there for conference rooms like this. So I think it's an interesting device. If you're looking for a Christmas present for a techie, this might be.
I think what I need is I need this and I need to like tape it to the back of the door that goes into the garage. And I need to like put random notes to my kids on it, like take out the trash now, or.
So what you can do? You can set up playlists on this. For certain days and certain times. And so then you could make sure that the thing says the thing that you want to do automatically on this certain date and time.
It can be like, it's Wednesday. Don't forget the trash to the street. What are you doing? Okay. That's cool.
Have you taken out the dog? Have you done this? Have you done that? Right? Like you can do all that things on there. Good. So, really, really impressive. I highly recommend it. It's well done. They even have videos they included for me. A matte screen protector because it comes glossy and it was a little bit too glossy for me. So they actually even have videos of how to crack the display open so that you can put the screen protector on the e-ink display inside. So you don't have to deal with the frame around it. It's super easy to open up. Everything is open source as well.
Dang. So I'm putting this on my list. I'm putting this on my giftology list. Yeah.
So you can even run the server that they've got. If you don't want to run off their server, you can actually point this device at a server you run and do it there instead. So everything is internal and private.
I'm thinking of all the people that listen to this podcast, you're probably the only one that would do that. But yes, that's cool. Yeah.
I'm just saying it's possible. I'm not saying you have to do it.
Yeah. No, I got you.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, Sanjay, how can our listeners find and connect with you?
They can find me at sanjaypark.com or on Blue Sky at sanjaypark.com. What about you, Adam?
Just go to adamjwalker.com. It's got links to everything. Sign up for my newsletter. And if you haven't already, rate this podcast. 5 stars, rate the podcast, share it with your friends, share it on social media, shout it from the rooftops, do something for us today. It'll be great.
And you know what you can do now too on Spotify? I just noticed this the other day. You can actually comment on episodes of the podcast. So if you've got comments about this episode and you're on Spotify, go on Spotify and comment. And we might be able to actually find them one day and talk about your comments.
Perfect.
Dun, dun, dun.